NBA free agency started 2 weeks ago, and we had deals that went down right away on the night of June 30th. We had Dorian Finney-Smith sign with the Houston Rockets. We had Jacob Arabia sign with the LA Lakers. We had a massive in-division switch on July 1st when Miles Turner shockingly left the Indiana Pacers for the Milwaukee Bucks. But there's still some good free agents on the market 2 weeks later, and for today's video, I wanted to talk about the best free agents still available. It's been reported multiple times that this could end up being Chris Paul's last year in the NBA. He just turned 40 years old and will be right around 41 by the end of the season. He had a bounce back year with the San Antonio Spurs in 2025, and for the first time since 2015, played all 82 games in the regular season. He played around 28 minutes a night, up from the 2024 season with the Warriors. He averaged 8.8 points, 7.4 assists, and shot 37% from three. And Chris Paul could still be a great backup point guard for a contending team even in the year 2026. It's been also reported that Chris Paul would like to be close to home, so he'd like to be near the city of Los Angeles so he can be closer to his family. Therefore, there's been two teams heavily linked to Chris Paul. One of them is the LA Clippers. It would make a ton of sense for Chris Paul to sign with the Clippers, who have a 2-year window right now with James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Brook Lopez, all under contract for the next 2 years. They just picked up John Collins in a trade with Norman Powell. They've also been linked to Bradley Beal as well, a player we'll get to in a little bit. And it'd just be really cool to see Chris Paul return to the LA Clippers, where he had the best years of his NBA career, in my opinion, playing with the Clippers from 2011 to 2017. Another team that's been linked to Chris Paul has been the Phoenix Suns, another team that had Chris Paul for some of his better years in the NBA. Chris Paul helped the Phoenix Suns turn their franchise around and helped be one of the top guys on the team that won the Western Conference in 2021 and had one of the best regular season records in 2022, and he led the NBA in assists that season. The Phoenix Suns may have some money freed up if they stretch and waive Bradley Beal, so there could be another homecoming there, because it does look like that 2026 will be the last year of Chris Paul's career, so maybe he wants to be more so on a contender, and the Clippers will definitely have a better shot at winning the NBA Finals next year than the Phoenix Suns, in my opinion. Another veteran point guard that is still on the market, Russell Westbrook of the Denver Nuggets. Russell Westbrook opted out of his $3 million player option, and like Chris Paul, bounced back in the year 2025 after having a little bit of a down 2024. He ended up finishing the season with 13 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. He shot 45% from the field and 32% from three, which was his highest three-point percentage since his MVP year back in 2017. He can win you games, he can lose you games, but something Russell Westbrook will give you that every team can appreciate: 100% effort no matter the game. It could be a game in Charlotte in January and you're without your top players, or it could be against the Lakers on primetime television in December. It does not matter. Russell Westbrook will give 110% effort in that game. He may win you games, he may lose you games, but he could still be a good veteran point guard in 2026 like Chris Paul. He's 36 years old. He'll be 37 at the end of the 2026 season, and his athleticism is still on display. He played 75 games for the Nuggets in 2025, and a team that may not have their first round pick next year, like the Phoenix Suns, like the Milwaukee Bucks, could be interesting Russell Westbrook fits, because he can help them throughout the regular season, so it doesn't look like they're giving up that good of a pick to the team that currently owns their draft capital. A big man free agent still on the market right now that's been heavily linked to the Golden State Warriors, Al Horford. The Boston Celtics had to shed a ton of money this offseason. They traded away Drew Holiday. They traded away Kristaps Porzingis. Luke Kornet got $40 million from the San Antonio Spurs, and it does look like Al Horford still wants to play in the NBA for his age 40 season. He's played 18 years in the NBA, coming off another productive year with the Boston Celtics. He spent the last 4 years in Boston, and last year for the Celtics averaged 9 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists, and still shot 36% from three. Al Horford has been a very consistent three-point shooter dating back to 2016, almost a decade of floor spacing ability from the 6'9" big man. And we know the Warriors were linked to big men that could space the floor this offseason at times, Nikola Vucevic and Brook Lopez, and it does feel like they could end up getting Al Horford. I think Denver was another interesting team that could pick up Horford if Valanciunas did decide to go play overseas. We know the Lakers are still going to be involved. The Atlanta Hawks have been linked to Al Horford as well. And in the modern NBA, given what Al Horford can still do defensively at 39 years old, can still be a productive player on a team trying to win a title in 2026, and that's why it feels like Al Horford will lead the Boston Celtics, since 2026 is going to be a gap year until Jason Tatum can get healthy again. Another player waiting to get healthy again, but could still definitely sign in free agency, a shocking free agent that became available when the Milwaukee Bucks wanted to sign Miles Turner. We thought they were going to salary dump Kyle Kuzma to get that deal done. No, they actually stretched and waived Damian Lillard. So Damian Lillard is going to get over $20 million from the Milwaukee Bucks for the next 5 years. His massive 2-year extension that he signed with the Portland Trailblazers before the Milwaukee Bucks trade is finally kicking in this summer. So Dame's already getting a pretty penny from the Milwaukee Bucks. Therefore, he may sign with a little bit less for a contender if he could try to win his first title of his career and get a ring before he retired. Dame unfortunately suffered that Achilles tear in the 2025 playoffs in round number 1 against the Indiana Pacers. He's actually turning 35 years old today on July 15th. And Chris Haynes reported that Damian Lillard could still be interested in signing with the team, even though he may not play in the playoffs or be healthy at any point throughout the 2026 regular season, but will sign a 2-year contract so he's under control for the 2027 season. And Dame can still be a very productive player, even coming off the Achilles tear, because of his three-point shooting ability. He may be the best three-point shooter in the NBA, not named Steph Curry, especially on the volume and the degree of difficulty his shots have been, because he's definitely focused by the other team's defense and isn't like the 5th most important offensive player on the floor. It obviously didn't work out in Milwaukee, but Dame did average 24.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 7 assists a night for the Milwaukee Bucks, and shot 36% from 3 over the course of 2 seasons on 8.7 attempts a night. It did result in 0 playoff series wins for the Milwaukee Bucks, but we know a lot of teams trying to contend will be interested in Damian Lillard. The Miami Heat, a team that tried to trade for Damian Lillard in the 2023 offseason. Dame can kind of be the main guy in Miami still, playing with Bam down there in South Beach. The LA Lakers are always going to be linked to a player like Damian Lillard. That would be a crazy offense with Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James around Damian Lillard. I think an interesting team would be Dame returning to the Bay Area where he's from, playing with the Golden State Warriors. I talked about him being the number 2 3-point shooter in the NBA to Steph Curry. So how about both of them in the backcourt with Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler in the front court? That could be like a goated team if that happened in 2020. I think the Boston Celtics would be an interesting team for Dame as well, because Dame at this point isn't a great defender. So if you had him surrounded by a healthy Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and a Derek White in that backcourt, that could really hide Dame's defensive deficiencies and could be a perfect fit in the Mazzulla Ball offense, where he's got the green light to shoot as many threes as he wants on a given night. Teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Houston Rockets could also be interesting for Damian Lillard. Dame could pair up with Kevin Durant in Houston, and he could try to win a title down there. He can go to Minnesota and be in that backcourt with Anthony Edwards. Or I think it would also be a really cool fit if Damian Lillard somehow ended up with the Denver Nuggets. I just want to see Dame and Jokic play together. I know it doesn't make a ton of sense with Jamal Murray there, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see what team Damian Lillard chooses and when is he going to sign. Is it going to be in July, August, or is he going to wait till after the trade deadline to sign with the team in 2026? We still have some interesting restricted free agents available, and I think it's fascinating right now because we know a lot of teams do not have cap space. So maybe a player like Quinn Grimes could have gotten a nice offer sheet from a different team, make $25 million a year on that next contract, and the Sixers would be forced to match it. But right now, nobody can give Quinn Grimes and some of these other restricted free agents that we'll talk about their deals that they want. So their current teams have all the leverage right now, and there's going to kind of be a little bit of a standoff to see what deal ends up getting done. Quinn Grimes is still on the market that had a career second half with the Philadelphia 76ers after getting traded from the Dallas Mavericks at the 2025 deadline. In 28 games and 25 starts for the 76ers, he shot 47% from the field, 37% from 3 on 8 attempts, and averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. We know those numbers won't look as good with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George all being healthy for the 76ers next year, VJ Edgecombe and Jared McCain as well. But the 76ers have to get this done right, or is a team like the Brooklyn Nets or the Utah Jazz that can create a little bit of cap space going to try to go after Quinn Grimes right now, and it could be an interesting restricted free agency at the moment. Another fascinating restricted free agent that I don't really think his current team wants to bring him back, Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors. I believe Mike Dunleavy, Steve Kerr, and the Warriors front office would like to get a sign and trade deal done. Could they get a Kobe White from the Chicago Bulls? Could they get a Keegan Murray from the Sacramento Kings? Players that fit this Warriors offense a little bit better than Jonathan Kuminga. But Kuminga at 22 years old is by far the most intriguing young piece on this Warriors roster that doesn't have a super long window at the moment. So what is life going to look like in Golden State after Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler retire? It was supposed to be Jonathan Kuminga's team on that 2-timeline stretch. It didn't really work out. Kuminga broke out in the 2024 season, career high in minutes at 26 a night, career high in points at 16 a night, and shot 53% from the field, also a career high. But all those numbers went down in 2025. He was banged up. He played 27 less games the following season. The minutes went down. The field goal percentage went down. even with the shots per game going up. He averaged less points and rebounds in 2025 than 2024, and also had a lower three-point percentage and free throw percentage from the previous year as well. It's going to be interesting to see if a sign and trade does work out with Golden State, because it can get very complicated at the moment, and I wonder when this thing would actually end up happening. Another player in a similar situation is Josh Giddy of the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls last offseason traded away Alex Caruso for Josh Giddy in a 1-for-1 swap. Josh Giddey's apparently at Summer League right now, but isn't sitting with the Bulls veterans watching these Bulls Summer League games, because apparently there is a little bit of disagreement on what Giddy's next contract is going to look like. Maybe Josh Giddey wanted $30 million a year entering free agency, but Chicago could just go to Josh Giddey and say, who's giving you $30 million right now? So we're going to have to wait and see what that final number is going to end up being. I can't really see Josh Giddey going to a different team at the moment. I'm not sure if any team would want to get aggressive in a Josh Giddey sign and trade either. Last year, for the Chicago Bulls, Josh Giddy averaged 14.5 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, shot 46% from the field, and a career-high 37.8% from 3. Now, I wouldn't love giving Josh Giddy 4 years, $120 million. If I can get Josh Giddy for less than $100 million, I would like that a lot more for Chicago. That can have somewhat of an open cap sheet in 2026. But I also think it's great to have Josh Giddy as your starting point guard. Somebody that has some of the best court vision in the NBA, can work the pick and roll very well. And who cares about the defense right now if you're Chicago? You're not expected to be good in 2026. What you need to focus on is the development of Montas Buzelis and recent lottery pick Noah Essengay, and I think Josh Giddey running the offense for those two can really help their development in the front court on the offensive end of the floor. So I do think just for that reason, it would be wise for Chicago to give Josh Giddey what he wants. And the last restricted free agent that is in this weird situation right now, Cam Thomas of the Brooklyn Nets. It does feel like if Sean Marks and the Brooklyn Nets front office wanted Cam Thomas back, they would have gave him a nice contract already. Last year, Cam Thomas was banged up. He only played 25 games. He did average 24 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds a night, shot 43% from the field, 35% from 3, and 88% from the free throw line. We know the Nets took a lot of pass-first players in the 2025 draft, guys like Danny Wolf, Yegor Jamin, Nolan Traore, and Ben Saroff. So Cam Thomas and newly acquired Michael Porter Jr. are going to get all the shots they want next year for the Brooklyn Nets, which is going to be another rebuilding year. But Brooklyn could go to Cam Thomas and say, where else are you getting $25 million a year? Yeah, you could sign a mid-level exception with another team, but we're just going to match that since you're a restricted free agent. So I wonder if this could end up just being a little bit less than what Jalen Green got with the Houston Rockets. It could be a 3-year deal with a player option on the 3rd year. I do wonder, though, between Cam Thomas, Josh Giddy, Jonathan Kuminga, and Quinn Grimes, could one of these guys end up signing the qualifying offer, which would be a 1-year deal, which would set them up for unrestricted free agency in 2026, when a lot more teams are going to have cap space, and they'd be free to sign with any team they want, and their team can't match a deal that they were going to sign. And it's also been heavily reported that the Phoenix Suns are going to take a page out of the Milwaukee Bucks' book and stretch and waive Bradley Beal. They haven't been able to find a trade partner for Bradley Beal for the last 12 months, so it does feel like we are going to end up in a situation where the Suns just cut ties with Bradley Beal, and he's going to be free to sign with any free agent on the open market. And Bradley Beal in 2026 can still be a very impactful player. I know that a lot of people are out on Bradley Beal just because he was overpaid with the Phoenix Suns, but Beal signing maybe the mid-level exception can be such a good ad for some teams out there. He's still shot around 40% from 3 in the last 2 years for Phoenix, 50% from the field, 80% from the free throw line, can give you around 4 to 5 assists a night, 17 to 18 points, which are great numbers for a number 3 option. Bradley Beal was just taking up 35% of the Suns' cap space, and that is not worth it for his production. But if he's taking up 10% of your cap space, that is so well worth it when you can get him on the open market. And Bradley Beal, I think, would be a perfect replacement of Damian Lillard in Milwaukee, but it has also been linked for Bradley Beal to sign with the LA Clippers, because they do have the financial wiggle room to get Bradley Beal and Chris Paul, which would be home run additions for their 2-year timeline approach. I know they'd be a very old team, but if they're all under 2-year contracts, that could be perfect for a Clippers window that could reset everything in 2027. A couple other good unrestricted free agents that are veterans. Malcolm Brogdon, who played last year with the Washington Wizards. He was banged up for the last 2 years after winning 6th Man of the Year with the Boston Celtics in 2023, where he averaged 15 points and shot 44% from 3 off the bench. Now, the Trailblazers weren't great in 2024. The Wizards weren't great in 2025. So I think it would be interesting to see Malcolm Brogdon on a team that's competing yet again. That's where I'd like to see Malcolm Brogdon go to. Apparently the Sacramento Kings, who maybe aren't the most competitive team in 2026, are interested in Malcolm Brogdon. Could he end up in Phoenix? Could he end up with the Knicks on the minimum as well? It just depends how much money Malcolm Brogdon wants and thinks he can get in free agency. But this is a player that's made over $133 million in his career for somebody that was the 36th overall pick a decade ago in the 2016 NBA draft. If you're looking for some wing defense, Gary Payton II is going going to be an intriguing free agent out there as well. What's going on with the Golden State Warriors plans? Are they going heavily into bringing in Al Horford? Are they going to try to re-sign Jonathan Kuminga? Gary Payton could still be a solid wing defender, and he could definitely get the tax-paying exception. That's a 1-year, $6 million deal. He averaged 6.5 points last year with Golden State, but could still guard multiple positions well on the defensive end of the floor. And then some rapid fire other intriguing free agents that are still on the market. Chris Boucher as a rim running big man. Trey Lyles as a power forward that could potentially space the floor. Precious Achiuwa that played meaningful minutes with the Knicks last year. You have the whole situation going on with Malik Beasley, who is one of the best free agents still on the market, but he's currently getting investigated for gambling. So we have no idea when that is going to end up being resolved and if he's going to be innocent or guilty at the moment, because if he's innocent, maybe he just ends up signing with the Detroit Pistons on that 3-year, $42 million deal that was reportedly agreed on before this story came out. And if he's guilty, we will never see him in the NBA again. Amir Coffey is definitely a sleeper free agent still available. Doesn't feel like he's going to get a great opportunity in Los Angeles in 2026, as they have a lot of veterans on their roster. They brought back Nick Batum in free agency as well, so he could be a nice swingman for a team looking to get a good scorer on a veteran minimum contract. Charles Bassey is currently killing Summer League right now, and bigs still come at a premium in 2026. He was one of my favorite sleeper free agents going into this year's class, so I do think there's a lot of teams that could use his services in 2026. And there's a lot of other free agents too that you may know because they were drafted very highly at one point in their careers. You have Ben Simmons, who is still a free agent. Kai Jones, who spent last year with the Dallas Mavericks and the LA Clippers. Markelle Fultz is still a free agent out there as well, who spent a little bit of time last year with the Sacramento Kings. And Talen Horton-Tucker, who had some brief moments with the Chicago Bulls in 2025. So that is going to be for me. Hope you guys did enjoy this free agency updated video. Let me know where you think these top free agents could end up signing down below in the comments, or just give me your thoughts on free agency this year in general. If you did enjoy, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you're not already. You can follow all my links in the description as well. My Twitter, my TikTok, my Instagram, my NBA podcast is also in the description as well. That is called Just Ballin'. Thank you again for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.